Alright, so I'm kind of kicking myself here because I just got here. I stepped out of my truck and it started raining the moment I took about 10 steps. But I just heard about this place recently, and lo and behold, the details were that this area has a lot of wild onions, ramps, if you will. And sure enough, it's absolutely true. There's a ton of them you can see. I mean, all over here. It took me so long to find these things. This place isn't even that far from my house. So I'm going to harvest some of those because the season's going to run out before too long. Ramps do not stick around long. As you can see, I have this kind of a collection bag. It's a Royal Mail bag that I got when Fleet Farm used to do surplus. That being said, it's big enough that I can fit 2 ice cream buckets in it. That allows me to put things in it without them getting crushed. Today, what I'm going to do is, and some people are going to be mad at me for this, but I'm going to do the 1/3 rule. And the 1/3 rule is where you go 1, 2, 3, and you pick. And I'll actually probably do more like the 1/5 rule because I'm probably going to go by clusters instead of by individual plants because there's some small ones in here. A lot of people don't like it when you pick the plants. They just want you to do the leaves. But I think with as rare as it is for me to actually do harvest of these, I think the 1/3 rule is going to be plenty. Now, if you've never harvested wild onions, there's a few things that you can do. And there are things that kind of look like it. When this is a little bit shorter, these leaves are a little bit harder to identify. Sometimes they come up actually a little bit stockier than what they are. And when that's the case, it's almost easy to mistake them. Ooh, those are some nice strong ones. I guess I did just get the leaves on that one. But it's almost easy to mistake them for being, so there's 1, 2, 3, for some varieties of ooh, the bulbs haven't even developed on these ones yet as far as I can tell. But yeah, some varieties of lily can be mistaken for these, and there's also some variety of plant, I don't remember what kind it is, but they have leaves that kind of come up like this at first, and then later on they end up with like a 2-foot long stalk with leaves alternating, but they look like this almost at first. Well, not like this, but like the young leaves that are shorter and a little bit stockier in some cases. Oh, I think I just saw a frog off to the side there. Let's see if I can get one with an actual bulb on it. Oh, these ones are not bulbing it almost at all, as far as I can tell. I forgot to bring a digging knife, so I'm just digging these by hands, which I guess might work for... Ooh, oh, these ones smell so nice too. But yeah, digging them by hand might work for those of you who think I should just take the leaves. I'm okay with that, just so long as I get some. I mentioned some other things you can use to identify them. The first one is, of course, going to be smell. So when you pick them, you can just rip off the tip of one of the leaves and take a sniff, and sure enough, it's going to smell like... Well, these ones almost smell like garlic. The ones in the past have been a little bit more oniony. Ooh, these ones are definitely more on the garlic side of things. Which is great. Maybe they'll be a little bit stronger than the old ones that I've found the other patch. As you can see, there's not a lot there in this patch, so I'm not going to go for that patch. But so as far as identification, the stalks are often a little bit purple with a white bulb on the end. The bulb only gets about that big. And yeah. The reason that I brought up the whole 1/3 rule, which is a great rule to have in all forms of wild food harvest, but especially for wild onions. In some parts of Canada, where ramp harvest had been overdone, they've been almost driven to extinction. People harvested and harvested and harvested, and you can't find them anywhere anymore, and it's actually protected. That being said, part of it is because they take a while to mature. I think I was recently told 7 years for them to mature from seed. But if you leave the bulbs then you don't actually kill the plant. They can usually bounce back from it. They're ephemeral plants, meaning that basically they come out in the spring. And, oh, I accidentally got an extra leaf there. They come out in the spring and then they vanish. You only get a little bit longer than morel season. Now we definitely got more than 3 in there, so I'm kind of gonna go in this same kind of area. But the season is, here we go. So season is fairly short, but it's a little bit longer than morel season probably. I think this one, I know that they started coming up in other people's woods a lot sooner than they did mine, so chances are this season up here may have gotten started later. Might extend a little bit longer. So yeah, I'm just gonna pick some more. Don't mind me if I don't talk much. I'm just gonna get myself a decent bunch of leaves. So mosquitoes are absolutely nuts in here. So we got a cluster there and a cluster there. Somebody may have been out here before, because we do see some ground that looks like it's been not quite dug up, but a little bit disturbed, I guess. Maybe it's just animal. Here's a nice patch. We're just gonna take probably one from over here and one from near my left hand too. Oh, look, see, we actually got a bulb on that one. The ground must be softer here, or maybe the bulb wasn't as established. Either way. Yeah, bulb or not, I'm okay. I'm okay with it. The mosquitoes and the wood ticks this year are absolutely nuts. See, there's enough here that I'm going to be doing more than the 1/3 rule, even if I pick another one from very close. There we go. There's a pretty bulb. But you are my witness that I am really, really, really being pretty generous on the 1/3 aspect. Having come close to 1/3. Go for one. Ah, dang it. It's kind of a sort of a meandering water path. Ow! In the woods here. There's more. Oop. There's enough here. Again, I'm going to take a couple. People gave me the tip that this lake had these. This is a better spot than my old spot, so I'm really enjoying that fact. I haven't 100% planned out how I'm going to use it. But I have done, ooh, there's some on this side. I did not pick on this side, did I? If I did, I only got one. So, I've done venison ramp rolls here before. Or not here, with I've done those before, and they turned out really well. It's been several years since the last time I've actually harvested wild onion. And never in this spot. Sometimes I just get into kind of a funk in the beginning of the spring. This year technically I was feeling kind of that way. But last night I really convinced myself to get out and do this. Actually, what I convinced myself to do was get out and harvest spruce buds, spruce tips, and I haven't done that yet. So if I get enough of these here today, without having to dedicate too much time, without the rain just washing me out. Oh, look at that. We're gonna go investigate that. It's really fascinating. So I wonder when that happened. Huh. Wow. I forgot to add the DEET. I'm wearing permethrin. That's part of the reason I'm wearing long sleeves. That, and I've had some pretty bad sunburns in my life, and I have a higher risk of sort of skin issues. So a little bit of sun restriction is not a bad idea. Yeah, let's see. Part of the trail is washed out, I found out. And then on my way back I realized that I got a little bit distracted by the desire to harvest, and I didn't do a very good job of identifying these. Yeah, so I said that the first thing you might want to do, by the way, that's wild sarsaparilla, not poison ivy. You can tell by 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 instead of 3. It does have kind of a shiny discoloration common to young poison ivy. Yeah, that being said, so I didn't do a very good job identifying. So I said that you might be able to pull off a tip and sniff it, and it'll smell like garlic or onion, kind of a cross between the two for ramps, really. Even though we call them wild onion, they are definitely a little bit more garlicky. When cooked, though, a lot of that flavor really simmers down. They do have a stronger odor than they do taste, I have decided for myself. They have 2 leaves, at least around here, I guess. And they have a bulb down there, slightly purple stalks. Let's see. Oh, no bulb today. But yeah, if you do find some and you're not sure if everything you're picking is matches the description, you need to do a sniff test. One thing you'll find out pretty quick is after harvesting a few, your fingers smell like onion. So maybe do picking with one hand and sniff testing with the other. Otherwise, it's not going to be a very effective method of identification if your fingers just smell completely like onion. They grow in kind of clusters. Usually if you find 1 or 2, you'll find more nearby. But again, over harvest can really ruin the things. So try not to over harvest. Especially if you're doing what I'm doing, where you're picking the full plant, or trying to pick the full bulb. Not succeeding too much today. I think I've only got 3 bulbs in this bag, and that's totally fine. The leaves are very useful in cooking. All by themselves, you don't need the bulb. But they do lend themselves slightly differently to different types of dishes. They do seem to like areas that are watery, along lakes and streams and things like that, because I found them here on this lake. Okay, this is not a very healthy one, so I'm not going to take it, in part because the leaves aren't very big. It seems like maybe they're very young. Maybe this is the first year coming up, and I want them to get stronger. But largely, just because I don't want to harvest anything that might, I guess that I'm not improving the chances of survival any by harvesting them. I'm sure that doesn't make any sense. You know what I'm saying, though. Make sure that where you're harvesting from isn't just, you know, you're not just harvesting all of what's there. You want to harvest from a healthy looking supply. Leaves that hopefully are healthy looking so that everything can recover from your presence there. It has a good chance of reproducing. Yeah. So just be, considerate. Are you going to kill off the population of the plant that you're harvesting here? Because if you are, you're not doing yourself any good. You're not doing anybody else any good. You're not doing the environment any good. If you can't be convinced to do it for other people and for the environment itself, then be selfish about it. I want to be able to come back here and get more in the future. And if I've eliminated the population of something, I won't be able to do that. So, yeah. Holy buckets. You ever feel like you're being punished for making the right choice? It's a little dramatic, but the mosquitoes are so thick it almost feels like that's the case here. I've been having a hard time getting out lately, and I know that some of the things that you want to harvest in the spring are gone really fast. So I decided that I absolutely had to get out and get some of these spruce tips. They're pretty abundant, but you shouldn't harvest too much off of a single. You're basically pruning the branch that you pick them off of. That end will not extend out. It won't grow out. So you want to be careful when you're doing this. They're really soft. They're flexible. They're fragrant, and you can bite into them, and you can eat them raw if you want. I guess a lot of people like them in salads. I'm going to try a few different things. I haven't decided exactly what. There's a lot of it, and even if you do pickle, you're not probably going to kill the tree if you overdo it a little bit. But still, don't overdo it. I mean, it's spruce. There's going to be about 1 billion of these things growing around here, which means that I'd have to be, I don't know what kind of a situation I'd have to be in to be selfish enough to just over harvest on these things. But I'm going up a little bit high. You can see they grow way up here. I guess for the smaller spruce trees, they say absolutely do not. So in the top, of a tree, like where you would hang the angel. Imagine that this is the top of the tree, and you put the angel on that top. Sorry, on that top piece. Don't pick those if you've got a tree that's short, because you might end up stunting the entire tree, keeping it from growing any taller. Make sure that you know how to properly identify spruce before you go out. I knew that these ones were out here, because of another very limited seasonal product I harvested out here years ago. Spruce gum. Basically in the winter while everything's hard, you come out and you scrape the spruce gum off of the wounded parts of the trees and put it into a bundle in cheesecloth and boil it, because if you heat it too much you might light it on fire, and if you're doing it inside you definitely don't want that to happen. So put it in cheesecloth, boil it, and then wring it out, and that'll separate out the insects that got stuck in it. It'll separate out the pieces of bark. The mosquitoes. The pieces of bark, it'll separate out dirt and grit and all the crap that you don't want to be eating. You can see I'm really spreading the wealth here, harvesting from all sorts of branches. And we'll move on to another tree here in a second. Actually, I'm going to move this way. I was going to go down further, but I'm going to go back this way a little bit. This road's got lots and lots of spruce on it. So it's almost like picking berries, except that it is berries. You almost, it's kind of hard not to motivate yourself not to pick all of the berries you come across. Well, maybe you should leave some for nature, but that they're berries. One of the most delicious things that Mother Nature has to offer. If she didn't want you to eat them, she wouldn't have made them that way, right? Oof. Okay, I brought you back. I told you that I was probably going to be done, but that was before I remembered I was forgetting something. So these, I forgot to harvest some pine, so I'm just going to grab some needles off of here. And I don't think it's super specific what you need. White or red pine will do. I think Emmy Made had white pine needles. I'm going to just take some off of here. Emmy Made had white pine. I think that the video from Black Forager was red pine. I don't remember. That being said, oh, look at this. Why am I even doing that? Look, we got one. We got a whole dang tree down here we can just take. Well, sometimes things are simple, aren't they? Well, not a tree, but you know what I mean. These are a little bit dry looking. They're not too bad. But I think I am going to get this. Oh. Well, that whole tree is not doing great, is it? There's a deer leg underneath of it. Interesting. Ugh. The mosquitoes are just insane. I'm not sure if this is fresh enough to get the full effect. I suppose I could just rip some off and... I guess they're still kind of sticky and smell like that. Oh, hey, look at this. This is a younger one. Healthier looking one, huh? Yeah, so I'll bring you back and show you kind of me prepping some things, maybe some soda, maybe some ice cream. I'll see you then.